It's a brand new week of Mountaineer sports, and today we've got a Mountaineer spotlight on brand new softball coach Shelly Hoerner.
We've got baseball from over the weekend and this week's Player of the Week coming up.
Plenty more coming your way today. Do not miss it. Time to get started on AppTV. It's the A game. Hello again, everyone. Ashley Smith, Braxton Critcher, and whether you are watching on AppTV, YouTube, or Facebook, we thank you for joining us. How about the winter weather last week? It snowed on Monday. The first day of spring was Tuesday. It snowed again Wednesday, and then once again on Saturday.
Now, obviously, those conditions are not ideal for outdoor spring sports like baseball, softball, and track. And after the baseball team moved their weekend series to Georgia Southern and the softball team had to cancel theirs, we got curious. Braxton has more.
Looking at App State athletics as a whole, this is the second straight year a conference series has been canceled, but the first time that one had to be moved from Statesboro since moving to the Sun Belt 4 years ago. In 2015, the softball team was forced to move a series against UL Monroe to Wingate University due to poor field conditions in Boone. But it's not just outdoor sports that have been affected. 2 years ago, a men's and women's basketball doubleheader had to be moved from Saturday to Monday because of winter weather and road conditions. When schools are within driving distances, Assistant Athletic Director and Event Manager John Welch says that it is just usually simple to flip the series to an away game. But that also requires a flight, and sometimes travel plans can get complicated. Worrying about all this can be difficult for the teams to find consistency, but also plenty to shake up for John Welch and others. You have to kind of figure that kind of thing out with the officials as well, trying to get officials to officiate these matches.
And it's a good thing that track and field wasn't in town this weekend dealing with this, or they wouldn't have been able to compete. The women's track and field team had a strong showing at the Weems Baskin Invitational this weekend, finishing in the top 3 of 5 different events. Freshman Samantha Cooler finished second in the open 5,000 meter run with a time of just over 18 minutes. Junior Hannah Emery tied for third place in the invitational pole vault, clearing a distance of just under 12 feet. In the open javelin, senior Jessica Ricks set a personal record with a toss just shy of 115 feet. Sophomore Sarah Venable placed third in the open 1,500 meter run. She also competed with the 3,200 meter relay team, who finished in third place as well. The Black and Gold will hope to keep the pace again this weekend for the Raleigh Relays at NC State. And you know what, Braxton, the Raleigh Relays happens to be just a selective track athlete event. Like, you have to be invited to this.
Yeah, but that's impressive they got invited, right? I mean, and now we'll transition to another men's track team that also performed well at the Weems Baskin tournament this past weekend. Just how impressive was the men's track and field team at the Weems Baskin Invitational last weekend? Well, they got 2 more first place wins and 2 more top 3 finishes. Senior Ryan Hastings clinched a first-place win in the Invitational 800-meter run, beating out a second-place opponent by nearly a full second. Senior Isaiah Rilliford brought home his first-place win in the open triple jump with a distance of over 47 inches. He outjumped the runner-up by almost 2 inches. The Mountaineers finished strong in the 3,000-meter steeplechase, winning 2 of the top 3 spots. Sophomore Lawson Benefield placed second with a personal record time of just over 9.5 minutes, with senior Evan Georges finished 1 place behind in third place. The men's team will also travel to NC State next weekend to compete in the Raleigh Relays. So, big weekend for the men's and the women's field and track team coming up this weekend in Raleigh. And
hopefully the baseball team will find their winning ways after the weekend they've had against Wake and Georgia Southern. On Tuesday, the baseball team traveled to Winston-Salem to face Wake Forest, with the Mountaineers being the home team. Despite the 7-3 loss, it was a good day on the mound for Brandon Boone, who went 5 innings, striking out 7. Freshman Kendall McGowan stood out in the lineup, going 3 for 4 on the day. The Black and Gold moved their home series against Georgia Southern to Statesboro, where the team dropped 3 games to the Eagles. On Friday, Andrew Vacasio and Caleb Bowman combined for 14 Ks, holding Georgia Southern to 2 runs. Kendall McGowan, Jason Avers, Riley Smith all tallied hits for the Mountaineers. Alex LeShock reached base for the 16th time in the 16 games he's played in this season. Saturday's Game 1 was a tough 7-1 loss after a third-inning grand slam and a 2-run homer in the 5th off the bats of Georgia Southern. Bailey Welch went 3 for 4 with a double, while Avers, Smith, Drew Beck, and C.J. Brown all had hits for the Mountaineers. Game 2 was a close one till the 6th inning after the Eagles broke a 4-4 tie with 5 more runs crossing the plate. Multiple Mountaineers had hits in the game but couldn't clear the bases. The team will travel to South Alabama this weekend for a 3-game series, and the next home series will be after the Easter break against Troy.
We'll get to talk about that and more with Brooks Maynard coming up next, and later, Mountaineer Spotlight with Shelly Hoerner, all coming your way soon, right here on the A-Game.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? And now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
All right, we're back once again on the A-Game, and guess who we have in studio again for you? It's Appalachian Sports Editor Brooks Maynard, and we're going to talk some App State baseball after a sweep of the last weekend against Georgia Southern, and they are started off conference 0-6 so far this year, worst start since 2016. Brooks, how do you kind of reflect on this start for the team? How much can they attribute that to the lack of consistency with the weather, not being able to practice outdoors and had to move their series to Georgia and all that kind of thing?
Losing home games is always a big thing, especially when you're not trying to get in that rhythm and trying to win those games. Playing on the road is always tougher, and when you can't start to get that composure, it gets tough. Especially when you live up here, the air quality is different, the air thickness is different, the temperature is always different. It's tough when you practice up here and especially the field is turf. There's so many factors that go into it when they're changing locations all the time and they can't get on the field when they need to.
And do you think that has to do with the offense not being able to get a good start for this season? You mentioned the field is turf, and I know from previous experience that hitters not being able to get in a rhythm of the field, could that be a tribute to the team hitting under 200 and only having one player over 300 for the season?
Absolutely. Like I said last week, they're really having trouble getting started. And, like I just said last question, like there's so many factors that go into what field you're playing on and where you are. And, like spring training in the MLB, they play down south for a reason. Ball flies better out there, weather's more easier to predict. Up here, it's not like that all the time. There's just not the same as sitting in a cage indoors as it is outside, getting used to the elements and getting used to what it's going to be like in a game.
Yeah. You said last week, I thought it was interesting, you mentioned that the first couple of games you thought that their defense and pitching needed to improve more because you thought that their offense had figured a few things out. In the weekend series against Georgia Southern, they were up in one of those games 4-1, and then they lost 11-4. Do you still think that that's a thing that this team needs to focus more on offense or defense and pitching, or what's your overall assessment so far?
At this point, I'm not sure there's any one thing they need to focus on. Kendall McGowan is the only person that's really hitting right now. Since last week, he's improved. He's gone from 280 to 302. He's slugging over 400, I think. He's killing everyone in those hitting stats, but no one else is really succeeding. And obviously, when you're losing games 7-1 and 11-4, when you're not scoring those runs, obviously your offense is a problem. But at the same time,
you got to stop scoring, too.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. They're not scoring runs. They're not stopping them. And there's also not one way that they're not stopping them. They've got errors in the field. They've got toughness in the pitching. They've had all kinds of problems, and almost none of them have been consistent.
But at the same time, we did talk about how pitching possibly was a problem for the Mountaineers earlier in the season, but 2 pitchers on Friday combined for 14 strikeouts and only held Georgia Southern to 2 runs. So I think, what do you think could benefit those starting pitchers, like them coming out of the bullpen and having someone with more experience? Now they're almost halfway through the season pretty much, helping them out like later in the games come the 7th and 8th and 9th innings?
I think their mindset right now, especially with not scoring runs, is they have to keep people off the base paths. Especially when you're allowing teams to score 11 runs, they're obviously getting players on base, and one of the best ways to keep players off base is to strike them out. And I think that's what they've come to the conclusion is the best way to win games is to just keep them off the base paths in the first place. As far as holding the lead in the late games and getting the bullpen involved, the bullpen's had their struggles, but they also have their strong points. They've been real strong out of the closing so far. It's a question of having the lead when they get there, and it's also the problem of if you throw too many pitches and you get the bullpen in too early, then they're going to be tired for the next games.
They haven't won a game yet in conference. They've only won 5 so far this year, and some of those losses have been big, but sometimes little changes can make a big difference. What do you think could be the one thing that this team, maybe they don't know it yet, but they figure that out, and then just like that, the team can change? And when do you think that first conference win will come for this team?
I think that they need to start taking it one hit at a time, one at bat at a time. Their total bases are low, and when you're not getting players on base, you're not going to score runs. And I think if they start focusing on not the scoring runs part, they're consistently getting on base, and you're going to start bringing those runners around, and that's when those runs are going to come from. So I think that's what their little change needs to be. I think the Troy series coming up in a couple weekends, I have my eye on that one as a potential first conference win, but they definitely have some problems to work out in the meantime.
All right. Thanks, Brooks, for joining us, and we will have you back after the Easter break. Coming up next, we have a Mountaineer Spotlight about our new softball coach, Shelly Hoerner.
Also, Episode 7 Player of the Week is next. You won't want to miss it. That's all next on the A Game. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in. Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
Welcome back to the A Game. The snow may have canceled the softball series over the weekend,
But that didn't stop us from sitting down with new head coach of the softball team, Shelly Hoerner.
Take a look at this week's Mountaineer Spotlight and learn what Coach Hoerner's goals are for the team and how she is settling in with all this winter weather.
Check it out.
Welcome back to another edition of Mountaineer Spotlight. I'm here with Shelly Hoerner, who's the head coach of the App State softball team. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, so firstly, you were at Georgia Tech for a few years. Can you talk to me about moving to Boone and what that's been like, the weather, the location, and also the new team you have?
Yeah, it's been great. The Boone community has been wonderful to me and my family. I have a daughter that's 4 years old, so it's just been a great environment for her and my husband. They get to, come to every single game and just, again, be in the community. So that's been great. The athletic department has been wonderful. Doug Gillen, the athletic director, has been amazing, and Jonathan Reeder. They just welcomed myself and my staff really into this community and athletic department. So we are very grateful for that. So it's been an easy transition. And with the team has been, from day one, the team's been so welcoming. They are being sponges, and they just want, a totally new environment. They've bought into what we're doing, and that's been really exciting because when people and players are coachable, it makes our job per se just so much better. And I've loved the transition. The weather I grew up in Buffalo, New York, so it's, but I've also been down south for 20 years. But it's, we've had some snow, we've had some challenges with, practices, but it is what it is. We knew that coming in here, and, we're very blessed that we have the SO field to be able to practice in as well. So we've only been out in the field a few practices this spring, which is, challenging in itself, but again, we've been able to practice in Sofield, so we get our practices in. So it is what it is, and we just, again, the new environment with the team has been really exciting, and I'm proud of them for, again, buying into the system and what we want to accomplish.
And you moved from the ACC to the Sun Belt. Can you talk to me about how the competition's different, and also what the difference between those two are?
The Sun Belt's a really strong conference. We're one of the top 5 conferences in the country as well. So there's, the game is the game. There's great players in the Sun Belt. And so our preparation, is the same as whether we're, practicing and playing at, an ACC school or an SEC school. So we prepare just the same, watching video. Our practice preparation is the same. And again, the Sun Belt is, again, a highly competitive conference. So, it's a challenge in itself. And, I knew that coming in, that it would be great. And just obviously the first few weekends have been great competition. And I know that, with Texas State in the conference and Coastal, it's just an all-around phenomenal conference. So, again, the preparation, you prepare for a softball game, no matter what conference you're in, Division I, Division II, you still prepare the same way.
And you took a team that finished last in the conference last year, and they're doing really well this season. Can you tell me what you place that accomplishment on?
It's a testament to the team. They have bought into our system, from the hitting to the pitching to the defense and just the culture. And, they've bought into us as a staff, and I think that's the biggest thing. They're having fun. And that's pretty cool for me to see, because again, when you are having fun doing what you love to do, most often you're successful. And so for them, it's just been, again, sponges, learning. There's obviously, it's a totally different system from what they're used to in the past. And so, again, a testament to them for being open-minded, and just, they're competitive. They're gritty, and I love that about them. And so I think that them being able to buy in, along with their grit and their heart and determination, has really helped us transition to having the success we've had, thus far in the season. So I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited for the rest of the season too. But they have, again, it's a testament to the players. Bottom line, the testament to the players.
And you were recently inducted into the New York High School Hall of Fame. Can you tell me what that's been like?
It was an honor. Obviously, I've loved softball. Obviously I grew up age 5. I was given an opportunity to play with some older girls, and, my coaches back then just, instilled grittiness in myself as well. I wasn't a very big kid. I was a catcher, and most catchers are, usually a little bigger than I am, but I was a catcher since I was 5, and, I just love the game. But I had great coaches that instilled that fun, but competitiveness and success. And so, again, that's a testament to the coaches that I played under, from, Little League to my high school days to my college days. And I think that, again, being inducted is not really about myself. It's more about really the team and the players around, because when you have good teammates and, good teams, success comes out more in everyone. And so, again, it's not, that honor is just not for me, it's for the teams that I played on. And especially we had a great high school program, and it was about all the players, not just myself.
And what are some goals you have for the rest of this season? And also, what would it take for you to consider this season a big success for you?
Every day we go out and compete, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's in conditioning, whether it's on the field. And we have to continue to compete. So every day I go out to practice, and we talk as a team about, like yesterday, in fact, we had a lot of individual goals for what we are doing in practice for each player. And again, when you have goals in a daily practice, you make sure that, you're reaching them. And sometimes you won't always reach them, but every day we want to be competitive. We want to be competitive. We want to leave everything on the field. And I tell the team, if we leave everything on the field, I can't ask for anything else. Some days it's going to be great. Some days it's not going to go our way, but we've got to compete. And if we give everything we have, we are going to be successful. So I believe that, for the rest of the season, I want to see them compete. that's a huge goal. Obviously, winning's important, but if we continue to get better every day, that's a success for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking to me, and good luck on the rest of your season.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that's all for this edition of Mountaineer Spotlight. I'm Candace Cooper.
And you know what, Braxton? I didn't know Coach Hoerner came from Georgia Tech.
No, she's already had a successful career there, and then now here she's got a lot of good goals for this team and players on the up and up.
And speaking of up and up, our Episode 7 Player of the Week goes to freshman Kendall McGowan of the baseball team. Over the weekend, Kendall got on base in every game of the series against Georgia Southern, and on Tuesday against Wake, he went 3 for 4.
The freshman picked Appalachian State because of his major, exercise science, and he felt like the campus was a place that he could fit in. McGowan also wanted to be a part of Coach Smith's new culture of the baseball program.
Coming into the program as a freshman, he wasn't used to the early morning workouts or longer practices, but since the season has started, he's realized that working harder will only help him be the best.
From the A-Game staff, congrats to Kendall. We're looking forward to the next home series and the rest of the season.
Want more App State sports coverage? Be sure to check out our Facebook page for in-depth stories refreshed every day. We won't be with you next week due to Easter break, but of course, we can always be found on Twitter at the A-Game Sports.
That's all for us today's show. For Ashley Smith and Braxton Critcher, our producer Sam Moore and the rest of the A-Game crew, we'll see you after the break.